Hello, Sold viewers. Big Ronnie here with another Sold Stay-at-Home Series episode. This is week 7 of our recordings that we are going into artist homes to show you that they are still working, thriving, and creating. I cannot wait to speak to our guest today. Just a reminder to our viewers, please go to the artists that we are featuring. You can find their shop IDs and their website names in our post when we put them up. Please support these artists, keep the work coming, and let's see what is coming from today's guest. Miss Zukie, welcome to the program. How are you?
Great. Looking forward to this interview.
Thank you very much for your time today. You have a great backdrop. What do you normally use that for?
I use this for YouTube, so it's kind of like just my basic or photo taking and stuff like that. So
very cute. Let's jump right into it with the Zukies. For those who don't know, you have created an entire world of characters that you call Zukies.
Yes.
Now, where did that come from? Do they all have different names and traits? Tell us a little bit about them, please.
So no, they don't have different names. It's just they're all Zukies, but they don't have any gender as well. So they could be whatever the owner of the Zuki is. So I do sell plushes and I do sell figures. So the person who buys it, the buyer, will be the one to announce what the gender is, or they could just leave it like just a regular nobody. They're nothing. And yeah, they actually express their feelings through facial expressions and thought bubbles. So basically, it's like a world where you can see everybody's secrets. Anything they're thinking, it'll be like thought bubbles just popping up into their head. So there's no secrets in this world of Zuki.
Very cute. Now, do you find that they appeal more to your adult fans, or do kids just eat them up, obviously?
I think it's just that they do both. Like kids like the whole like censored curse words kind of thing. So I also have that, or like them doing naughty things like tripping each other or like cutting somebody's hair or anything like stupid. The teenage kids and the younger kids love it. Like for example, I do have a certain type of like characters. They're all the same, but they're doing certain different things. Like for example, I have one that they wear onesies. It could be any character. So basically, the behind that story is, if you see a Zuki with the onesie, they actually kill the character and they wear their skin. And so all the kids always think it's like freaking awesome.
Well, that's kind of fitting with a lot of children's nursery rhymes and stuff like that. Often they're kind of macabre.
Yeah, so it's kind of like when I tell them the story, they're like, "Oh my God, that's so crazy! I love it." So it's like, they're also really cute and nice, but in the background, they're like also evil.
Now, when did you first start drawing these?
I started drawing these at the end of my senior year for my bachelor's of fine arts. And I had actually my work prior to that is completely different. I did realism, like I did portraits, I did landscapes. So I worked in the actual, like everything looked kind of real compared to like the graphic design that I actually work on now. And I was working on my senior show and I was actually done with my project. I was at least maybe a whole year in advance of me having everything done. And so for the senior year, I really didn't have much to do but focus on these guys. And I had like a small book, literally like so tiny, that I would just jot down my ideas of this character. And my teacher came up to me one day and was like, "Oh, can I see what you're always working on? I always see you going into that little black book. I'm kind of curious what's in there." And I showed him and he was so intrigued in this character that he actually told me to squash all the 3 years of me working in college of all my senior projects and work on this for my senior project. And I told him, I was like, "I only have a year to work on this, and this is what I'm graduating on." He's like, "I know you could do it." And I was like, okay. So I really had to start over on my senior project and really do it based on these guys. So after that, I did 2D, 3D. I learned how to create molds and did little 3-inch Zukis. Like I did 60 of them in plaster and painted them, airbrushed them, and sanded them, and basically did that as my solo show for my senior year in college.
Wow. So you said you went to art school. So were you a how were you as a child? Were you all about the art?
Yeah, I started at 5, and ever since my teacher, well, my main teacher, she was sick, and they actually sent over a substitute teacher, and it was an art substitute teacher where we had an assignment, and I was done, and he came over, and this guy, literally, when he walked in the door and presented himself, he looked like Superman with the curl and everything. He had the glasses, and he came over to me, and he was like, "Wow, you're so amazing. You should definitely keep doing this." And then ever since then, like, I feel like it was a sign. Well, as a kid, I was like, "Oh my God, this is a real Superman." I was in elementary, and I just continued doing it forever. And then my mom was like, always bought me like sketchbooks, and I would always copy the Looney Tunes, Pokemon, anything that I could see on TV. I would draw on this book. And since this, I actually went over to my mother's and I saw those. Hold on, I'm so sorry. The
Okay.
baby.
It's okay.
Is he okay? Okay, he's okay. Go. Yeah. Vaya al baño. Oh, he's okay. He just
Where did
woke
you
up.
grow
He
up?
gets scared. Huh?
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in New York, Queens, in the Queens side, Jamaica. I actually moved around throughout the whole time, living out in the city. And I went to definitely a lot of different schools. I recently now reside in Long Island. I've been here for more than 12 years.
Now, when did you first take your work from the sketch pad to the street?
Actually, the when I started doing the Zukies, it was about 11 years ago. Um, Not really around 11 years ago, but once I made my like that's when I was introduced to the money doll, and I got a couple of them for Christmas, and then I was kind of that person that gets sick of things really quick. So the money doll really interested me in the beginning. I made a big Zuki out of it, and then I was like, how about I just all the money that I've saved up go and get it produced as a toy? And that's what I did. I took a chance and I made these 3-inch Zuki dolls, like look like money, but they're in my platform. And after that, I just went on. And then from then on, I kind of got bored of toys and then went into street art. And it was kind of a difficult time for me actually, because nobody wanted to really provide me with anything, any walls or anything like that. You know, I emailed a lot of people, and they were like, I got a couple of responses saying that, you know, if you're not capable of getting your own wall, then you're not an artist. That was the main thing. So my father had a shed in the back. I primed it every day and self-taught myself how to use spray cans, and that's what I did basically. Learned on my own, and after a while, I think I got the hang of it, and then I kept trying again, even though I would get the backlash of if you can't get your own walls. Basically, they try to tell me you have to do it illegally, and it wasn't like, especially with my character trying to get into the kid side and trying to get into the adult side, I don't want to show negativity or basically tell these kids, yes, do illegal graffiti. You know, that wasn't my my motive. And so then I finally found non-profit organizations that would supply me with the wall, but I would also supply myself with my supplies. I would supply for a whole year until they would pay me. It took a year for this whole process to go until I got finally was able to get paid for my artwork in these walls. So I know a lot of people are discouraged about, oh my God, I want to get paid. I want to get paid. It doesn't take 2 seconds for that to happen. It took me a year to get my name out there, to, you know, and especially if you have the chance to do collaborations, definitely do those collaborations, because those people is also helping you to get your name out there. Even though, you know, you don't really want to collaborate with the person, you want to do your own thing. It's good to have like several
Cross
different things,
marketing,
because
absolutely. You and any other artist will get more eyeballs than you. It's just
yeah.
that's just logical. Now, I remember
Hmm.
a collab that you did back in 2016. Was it 2015? Was it Dodworth Street, babe? Well, it was for the Dodworth Street. It was you and Lexi Bella, where the Zukies were the hair.
Yeah, that was one of the main pieces that got my name out. Like, it skyrocketed. Like, I can see like On my computer I have like all this like kind of like see how many people come and view my pages and stuff like that. And when that piece was done and we posted it, it just skyrocketed. It just everybody was, I got tons and tons of follows. I got tons of emails getting wanting for commission. So it was definitely a good idea. And the way I met Lexi was when we went to Cali and we did the TV show. We got in there and that's how I met her, and I thought she was good at like I selected certain people that I was wanting to collaborate, so I went and I contacted her regarding collaborating for that piece.
Now that's great. Now you actually reposted one of Erica's photos of me in front of that in 2016. I love that piece. I think I used it on my website too, that shot.
Un- Unfortunately, the original we had to redo it because the wall was just so destroyed. Like it would just constantly peel with all the weather and everything. So we actually redid it. So that one was officially Lady Z, and now on that wall now currently is Lady F for flower because she has flowers in her hair.
Very cool. Now, how are you? You seem like a very upbeat, positive person with some message in your work. How are you handling the pandemic now? What is going through your artist brain?
So a lot of people don't really know I am an essential worker. I am working at a hospital. So I was there while this whole pandemic happened. And I will have to say a lot of people are miseducated regarding the situation. But to start off, it was really, really heavy on me because I've seen people pass away right in front of my eyes. A grief, families weren't able to see their families at all. So as an artist, I was able to make my money. I know a lot of artists are independent. I was able to get this job and was able to help out as well instead of doing the art business to support my family. My husband also is an FDNY worker, so he is in front line as well. So um, regarding this whole situation, it was hard because you were there. I was there in line where everything people were coming in feeling certain different symptoms, and speaking to them and also trying to make sure I don't get infected, sick, and I have a child. So it was really hard for me because it's like, do I do this or do I do that? Like, but um, thankfully, everything with the business, with my art business, and with the being an essential worker, it paid off really good because my business did go. A lot of people were supporting me with all the new merchandise that I came up with. So it was really not obviously it wasn't a positive thing, but as an artist perspective, it was a learning experience, and it also I did really good with my business too.
Well, thank you very much for your selfless work, both you and your husband. I'm sure that you are wearing some stresses and some burdens that most people are not right now, especially with a child at home. That's really what I want to get down to. Like, how is this? What's coming out of the work? Is there stuff going into the work, or is that your escape right now? Like, how are you dealing with it all?
So in the beginning, it was just like a lot of stress, trying to make sure like when I do 4 in the morning to noon. I go in really early, and going there and coming back, you have to take certain procedures. You have to make sure you get undressed outside your door, shower if you feel like you're dirty, and then coming into here and working on my artwork to also balance it out. Because you know what, I've kind of like in a certain past years I've done like where I would leave the Zukies alone and then try to come back. It's really hard coming back. You have to, with especially if you're trying to put your name out there, you have to constantly post stuff. You have to constantly work on your stuff. Never let it go for more than like 5 months, or else that's it. You're gone from the radar. People would like physically forget about you, and it's just trying to get to where you were before. It's so hard. So I was trying to balance, being an essential worker and also being an artist, because if your main goal as an artist is to become an artist, obviously. So you definitely want to be able to keep doing what you're doing. So coming in here, like basically I would work 24 hours, being a mom, being an essential worker, and being an artist. It is difficult jogging it, but I did a really good job. I feel like I did an amazing job at it. And hopefully we'll go back to normal. The only thing like I said, I kind of jumped off was my YouTube channel. I wasn't able to post as much because editing YouTube videos it takes a long time. It literally takes my whole day. So basically that's it. Like I think jogging 3 jobs is it's a hard thing, and I give anybody props for jogging like even one job. It's hard because it depends if what your situation at home is. If you have several kids and trying to do your own business, it's hard. And learning from this, I feel like anybody can do it, and we all crucify everything, everything that's going on, and hopefully we'll just get past this. And I know we will get past this.
Who's the better cook in your house, you or your husband?
Oh, my husband, straight down. I don't like cooking.
What's your
100%.
favorite? What could you ask him to cook for you right now and you'd love it?
Anything. He's really good. He's a fireman too, so I know firemen love to cook. But if I would ask him, he does it's a Spanish dish called pernil. He does a really good time. It takes like
Of course.
It's like 6 hours to do. Like you have to marinate it, and then you have to just wait a few, and then just put it in the oven and cook for like 6 hours, and the meat will just fall off. It's amazing. It's so good.
How old is your little one?
He turned 1 a couple of weeks ago.
So he doesn't understand what's going on, doesn't understand why he's not going outside and all that stuff.
No. Well, we do go outside, we try to get some sun in. We have a backyard. He'll go outside with the dogs. We'll walk the dogs, certain stuff like that. But I do try to take him like not into stores and stuff like that, especially with everything that's going on.
Now, what do you hope is going to come out of this for the scene? You're in a couple of different angles of it. But from the children's angle to the community. I saw that you worked with Jeff Beeler again recently. Hello to Jeff. The Underhill Project is wonderful what he's doing out there, and I hope that continues forever. But how are you? What are your hopes for this? What do you think is going to come of it?
I hope everything just comes out well. I know it's going to be something that will be going down in history, of course. Everybody's going to remember this. But I hope it's a learning experience for everyone. It's something that you don't want to forget, even though, I did have my husband and we did lose my father-in-law. He passed away due to COVID. So it's something that we will never forget. And it's hard. It's hard, especially hard for everyone moving on forward. For businesses, especially mom and pop businesses out there, they have to shut down, and people aren't able to pay rent at the moment, so hopefully the government will help out on that. I know it's going to be difficult. As an essential worker, it will never be the same. You will always be afraid of what's going to happen next. Is it going to get worse? Personally, I feel like they shouldn't let it take off the quarantine. I feel like they should at least quarantine for another 2 months. Me as an essential worker, definitely, because it's not over yet. We still do get certain cases that come in, but not as much as before. I feel like now we're just actually really getting emergency calls. You have abdominal pain, you're throwing up blood. So those things I feel like are emergency calls. Before we would get all types, people coming in here and for fevers. Meanwhile, you can just take Tylenol at home. So we'll just get dumb calls like that. But now I feel like the emergency room is now for emergency only. So I feel like it's getting, we're not getting as many people as we were, and we're discharging a lot of people that were sick out into the world. So I feel like it's getting better. Now that it's getting better, I don't think we should still lift the quarantine, because I feel like we might get another wave if people don't take the precautions that they're supposed to be, like wearing your mask and things like that, washing your hands constantly. Definitely a lot of people aren't as educated as others regarding the gloves. 100%. We don't wear gloves at the hospital when we see them first, but once you go back, obviously we wear gloves for safety. But out in the public, I feel like it's not really you shouldn't wear gloves, because it's cross-contamination if people don't know. So hopefully if anybody's once everybody sees the video, I hope I will be able to teach everyone about cross-contamination. So cross-contamination, basically, when I go to food shopping, I see a lot of people with gloves. It's 100% okay if you want to wear gloves, but then when you're there touching everything, and then all of a sudden you get a phone call, while you're shopping, you're like, oh my God, I have to answer this. Obviously, you don't take your gloves off. You grab your same phone with the dirty gloves that you have, put it to your face, and that's cross contamination. And then you put it back in your pocket. So now that your phone right there is contaminated. So whatever you touch, even with your gloves on, you're contaminating it and you're putting it to your face. So that's why I always see that when I'm in line, people touching stuff, touching their pocketbooks with the gloves that are contaminated. So I prefer just, don't touch anything, just touch the groceries. Once you go to the checkout, you wipe down your hands, whatever you have, Lysol, um, then grab your wallet, use your wallet, put your thing back, do sanitize again, and then on your way home. The gloves, I feel like, carry more bacteria than anything, and
Yeah, I
that's
think
what
you're
people
right.
don't understand.
And it's kind of a common sense thing that, hey, if you touch something that's dirty and then touch your face, you're going to get your face dirty. But what do you
Hmm.
do with airplanes? How do we
Oh,
how do we
that.
how do we deal with that situation moving forward?
Unfortunately, just don't go on, don't travel. I know that they do have, because it's the air is being circulated there. So regardless, you're wearing a mask, you're just hoping you have really good immune system. Um, and I know that personally, I don't think it's airborne because I've been in rooms with patients. I did have my mask on, but I haven't gotten sick, thank God. But I know a lot of nurses that don't even wear gloves, and they touch the patient, and once they leave, they wash their hands and they go on. So it's not touch to touch. Um, so like it could be 50-50. It just depends on the person you are, if you're really healthy or not. Going into a plane on a circulated ventilation of somebody, if somebody's positive in COVID, you might risk the chance of getting it.
Now, you were in the midst of planning a solo show in Japan before all of this broke out, didn't it? Weren't
Yeah. Yeah, the good thing is, we can go both ways. I've been in contact with them, and they said so far everything's going good. I feel like they are used to wearing masks and being clean and stuff like that. So it's like they're just accustomed to it. So I feel like when I asked them how's everything going, they said that so far everything is so good, everything's coming back to normal. I feel like it would be okay for me. I would go to Japan. My son was gonna come with me, but like I said, I wouldn't know as much as until that month, and I'll ask. And then yes, I would take my son with me if anything. But if it's still like a caution, my son would stay, unfortunately. But I would go. But the only way I wouldn't go if they do cancel the air flight and they would reimburse me, or we'll pick a later date for the show. That's fine. That's 100% in there as well. So I'm fine at both. So I'm not really stressed out about the show. If it's okay, I'll go September. If not, we can always postpone it. It gives me more time to bang out some pieces as well. So
anything new? Anything you want to tease? Any little peeks or something?
they're really big pieces, so I wouldn't be able to give you a tease. But I've been showing here and there on my social media, on my Instagram. I've been showing them like my work in progress, and I like to get like the opinion of the public to see what color, what outline would be better, black or like a light brown. So I'll give like a little bit of a some, because I'll have like artist block and see which one is, or maybe I'll just do both if I have time. So that I've been teasing some pieces there. They're mostly like 40 by 40 inches, so they're really big pieces.
Wow. Now, what do you listen to while you're working?
I just have the TV on. I just need something in the background. I need both my ears just for my kids, so just in case anything happens, I'll just run to him. But I usually have the TV playing in the background.
Now, I was just passed a note. I have to ask you about your Bieber experience.
Oh, so that was really an awesome experience. It was one day I woke up for work at 4 in the morning, and I saw my DMs, and at first I saw a comment saying, please check your DM by Justin Bieber. And I was like, wait, no way. I'm like, because once you're famous, you have so many different people have your name, like people, Justin Bieber for life, you'll have so many. If you put Justin Bieber on the cursor for search, you'll have so many different pages. So I was like, oh, okay, it's probably somebody, a Justin Bieber fan. But anyway, I went and I saw the verification check mark. So then that was like, wait, is this like the real guy? Because he's verified. Obviously, I woke up my husband, I shook him. I was like, oh my God, you need to see this. Is this really him? And he's like, I'll see it in the morning. So he didn't even pay any mind to it. I went to work thinking about it. So I responded and we had like a conversation back and forth. We were having a long ass conversation actually for a couple of months from then. And he wanted me to participate in this charity event that he was doing for kids, non-privileged kids and families for the month of Christmas, the holiday. So he wanted to raise funds to donate to these families so that they can have a good Christmas and have a good feast, you know. So that was a really good experience. You know, we went out there, my husband, me and my baby, we went there and we met a lot of people and we experienced something that I feel like it's a once in a lifetime take. So I was happy about that. But yeah, it was a cool experience.
Who else was in the show? I know Buff Monster was in it.
Buff Monster was it. Danny for life. He does the Swarovski crystals. I have Jason Art. He just goes by Jason Art. He does like a lot of graphic design as well. Who else? Takashi Murakami was on there as well, which I wish he was there because he is one of my inspirations. He's definitely somebody I look up to with his character, and I would love to be at that level. Will be at that level, hopefully, you know. So yeah, I met a lot of people there. It was also kind of like, you know, when you go to an art show, you see these pieces, and you know the names, but you just don't know their face. So it's like I was kind of shy, and I didn't know who was what with what work. So it was kind of difficult. Like I made sure I wore Zukie attire for them to know it's me. So that it made it easy for them to like spot me out.
Did Buff have his pink sunglasses on?
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
They were heart too, like the heart-shaped ones.
Well, Miss Zukie, that was a great conversation. I really appreciate your time today. For our viewers, we had some technical problems with Miss Zukie before we got started. We recorded about 8 minutes that we will not be able to use, but I'm very glad to see that a phone reboot fixed all of our problems.
Yeah, you got to do that. I'll just throw it against the wall.
That's all. So before I let you go, please let our viewers know where they can find you online, please.
Yeah, you can head over to my website at www.zukies.net, zukies.net, and of course on my social media at Zukie Art on Instagram, Zukie_art on Twitter, and YouTube channel Zukie Art. Everything Zukie Art. You can even Google me, Zukie Art or Miss Zukie. You'll find me somewhere.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time today, and we are sold out with Miss Zukie. You have a great day.
Bye, guys.